So, on today's podcast, we're talking about the difference between wasted time and stored time. What are examples of time that we won't get back? And what are examples of time that allows us to reach another level? Welcome back to the Thermostat with Jason Barger. If you're currently on a commute, a walk, or just a micro break in your day, glad you're making time to step back, to think, and to reflect on the next steps on your journey. I've never been more convinced the best leaders and team cultures in the world are the ones that make time to step back, breathe in good oxygen, and calibrate their thermostat. I hope today's conversation leaves you feeling grounded and inspired. Now let's dive into today's topic to engage our minds and hearts in order to authentically lead and create compelling cultures wherever we are in the world. Hey everybody, it's Jason, and welcome back to the Thermostat Podcast, wherever you are and however you're coming to the podcast today. Welcome in. So glad you are here. We're in season 9, well over 260 episodes or something like that by now. So glad that you are here and that you've made your way to this podcast. If you're somebody who's been with us from the very beginning, welcome back. So glad this continues to add value to your life, your work, your week, however you consume this. And if you're new to the podcast, welcome in. So glad that so many more people continue to find this podcast, spread this podcast, and this continues to be a part, again, hopefully a valuable part of your life and your work, and giving you some time to think about all these things. So my commitment, as always, to the listeners is that I want this to be a place where you have a moment to step back, to breathe, to think about the temperature that you're trying to set in your life and your work, and then to be hopefully filled with some thoughts that help you think about the next step along your journey and where you're headed next. So that's my hope and my promise to you, and I'm so glad that you are with us. Before we dive into today's topic, if you'll do me the quick favor, of course, if you will rate the podcast 5 stars, of course, if you will leave an authentic review in your own words, if you are, obviously, if you will share the podcast with anybody in your network, whether that's on social media, hey, to your team, your colleagues, friends, let's listen to this episode, let's talk about the questions. All those ways, rating, reviewing, sharing, help amplify these messages even further in the world, and I'm grateful for everybody that does that. And of course, if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe on whatever platform you're using. Thank you so much. So glad you are here. Time is one of the most valuable currencies we have. We know we only have so much time, and I'm not trying to be depressing, but also trying to be honest about the realities of our life and our work. Time is finite for our lives, and therefore it makes it very valuable. You've heard the phrase often that, especially at different stages in our lives, that people say that the days are long, but the years go quick. So time is finite, and we know that's what makes it so valuable to us in our lives and in our work. And you've heard me on the podcast in the past talk about investing time rather than just managing time. Many people go through their entire lives, let alone daily pursuits and careers, just managing their time, reacting to everything that comes their way, instead of proactively thinking about what it is that they want to spend their time on. However, as you study the most effective, happy, purposeful people, teams, and organizations, you see the common attribute of truly investing their time each day, each week, each month, each year in alignment with their highest priorities. They become masterful about investing their time rather than managing their time. So how do we invest our time in what brings us joy personally? How do we invest our time in our relationships? How do we invest our time in our career dreams and pursuits? The effectiveness of our vision is often tied to whether we invest time or we manage time. Today, I want to build upon this idea of time being a currency, but also making a strong distinction between what might be perceived as wasted time and what truly is a waste of our time. The nuance is very important. So, on today's podcast, we're talking about the difference between wasted time and stored time. What are examples of time that we won't get back? And what are examples of time that allows us to reach another level? But before we dive into today's topic, let's pause, take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Many teams and organizations right now are realizing that they need to do both. They need to engage the minds and hearts of their people in person, where everyone in the room can experience the energy of congregating together and find clarity for the road ahead. And they also need to continue to find ways to engage the minds and hearts of their people virtually, with those who are working remotely or at a distance. So, if you are in the process of planning your next team meeting, company all-hands event, conference, or culture summit, and are looking for support with a powerful keynote speech, facilitated team conversations that are the currency for change, or deeper development on leadership mindset and an intentional strategy for the culture you're trying to create, I hope you'll contact us at jasonvbarger.com, jasonvbarger.com. It is my privilege and our honor to partner with great people to provide support in these areas. We want to breathe oxygen into your leaders and throughout your organization so you can set the temperature you want for your culture. We look forward to connecting with you soon. I hope you'll contact us at jasonvbarger.com, jasonvbarger.com. It is my privilege and our honor to partner with great people to provide support in these areas. We want to breathe oxygen into your leaders and throughout your organization so you can set the temperature you want for your culture. We look forward to connecting with you soon. If you didn't hear my podcast chat recently with my friend James Clear, #1 global best-selling author of the book Atomic Habits, I hope you'll go back and give it a listen. It's a great conversation. Always great to be with James, and just a terrific mind and a wonderful conversation that we had. James has a terrific, intellect, mind, and it's fun to talk about all his research on habits and how it intersects with the work I do around developing people and culture. It was not only a joy of a conversation on my end, but just a super valuable conversation and experience to be talking about how habits intersect with how we lead ourselves, but then also the cultures we create with the people around us. And so I was so glad to share James and his work at my Thermostat Cultures Live event this past fall. That's become a powerful event each year, an annual event that I host in my hometown of Columbus, Ohio. And then also, with an intimate gathering of leaders from across industries and organizations. And then also it's a remote experience also online for those from a distance, but it's been an amazing event. So stay tuned at thermostatcultureslive.com, thermostatcultureslive.com in the future if you're interested in this annual event that comes in the fall. But as James and I were talking, we stumbled into this idea about the difference between wasted time and stored time. And so I want to dive a little deeper on the pod today to help make the distinction between the two. Wasted time, and we've already established how valuable time is to us all, is when we give our focus, our attention, our heart to something that isn't anywhere related to our highest priorities, or more strongly put, is counter to our highest priorities. When the time we invest in something seems meaningless, and it's not bringing out the best in us or others, or it takes us away from where we truly want to invest our time, that's what we would refer to as wasted time. And for clarity's sake, I always feel the need to say this, but for clarity's sake, and again, if you're a listener of mine, hopefully you know this is my spirit, that we're all humans. We're not robots. And so I don't suggest that we all don't have moments where we, maybe fall out of focusing only on our highest priorities. So we're all humans for that. We all have moments, we have hours, we have days where we spend our time on brainless things. That's not what I'm talking about. We need those moments. Wasted time is when we are choosing to invest our time in something we obviously would rather invest elsewhere. However, in this talk about wasting time, often people and teams can confuse wasted time with stored time. Sometimes we don't see the immediate impact or don't feel like we're getting anywhere with something that we're focusing on or working on. And it can be easy to jump to the conclusion that we have just wasted our time. Where James and I went in our conversation was identifying those times in our personal lives, in our pursuits, or our team activities where we were absolutely locked into focusing on something that is a high priority and worthy of the time we are investing in it. And even though we aren't seeing the immediate results, we haven't wasted time. We've built up stored time that will help us build upon it and lead us to another level. Stored time is the focus in disciplined work toward a higher priority that doesn't yield immediate results. The time isn't wasted. It's just stored. Stored to be built on top of time and time again, and that leads to progress. I loved this reframing of our mindset around wasting time versus stored time. And again, there are times, meetings, etc., that we do feel like it's wasted time, that it isn't connected to our highest priorities, or we could be investing our time and our focus and our energy elsewhere. Those absolutely exist. Then there are times, meetings, workouts, whatever that may be, that are merely stored time, where we are building towards something greater, where the time we're spending, even though we're not seeing the immediate result, the meeting, the conversation, the development, the brainstorming, everything that we're doing is not wasting time. It's just storing time so that we can continue to build upon those ideas, those conversations, that development to get to a higher level. And my hope, of course, for myself and for anyone listening is that we will challenge ourselves to invest our time in the highest priorities and the things that are most important and most valuable to you personally, but also professionally and on your team and your organization. But I also hope that along the way, we reframe to see when are going to be times where we need to not only invest our time, but also store time versus wasting time, which means the process is going to take longer and typically isn't solved in one full swoop. So we want to store time rather than waste time in alignment with our highest priorities in life and work. That's my challenge and my hope for myself, and that certainly is my challenge and my hope for you and your team, your family, your organizations, whatever it is, however you're thinking about this today. So as always, let me share some questions to ponder for the road ahead. What are your highest priorities for the year ahead? What are they? What are your highest priorities for the year ahead? What are times or situations that distract you and kind of keep you in that space of wasting time in other areas? And how could you store time to work and build upon what you want for the future? So I hope those questions got you thinking in some ways, and I hope this helped you kind of step back, breathe a little oxygen into you, and help you think about the next steps along your path. Good luck with your personal vision for the year ahead, for your team, for your organization, the things that you're working on. Good luck with the culture that you're hoping to create with your team throughout your organization or in your life. And of course, as always, if we can be helpful to that, to even just engaging the minds and hearts of your people, aligning people, bringing people together to imagine and dream, and to also get clear on what this culture really means and might look like in the future, please don't hesitate to reach out, info@jasonvbarger.com, or just track us down through the jasonvbarger.com website. Certainly you can find us on social media at jasonvbarger. But we'll look forward to that. So I hope this is brought a little energy to you today. Remember that calibrating our own personal thermostat takes awareness and time and stored time to step back and to think about and be aligned around what is that temperature that you're trying to set in your life and your work. To be able to give yourself grace and continue to give yourself time, stored time, to breathe oxygen into yourself so that you're able to not only have clarity around what those next steps might be, but then courage to go bring those ideas and that vision into action and behavior. So I hope you'll continue to tune in to this episode and other episodes. Again, if you're new to the podcast, or actually if you've been listening forever, I hope you'll go back and listen to old episodes. So many great micro podcasts about different topics like this, but related to developing your own personal mindset, your own leadership, the culture of your people. Just Google my name, Jason Barger, and whatever topic you're looking for, and chances you'll find something, because there's over 260 episodes now, and there's some really great stuff out there and amazing thought leader conversations like with people like James Clear and others that I hope you'll stumble upon and go give another listen to. So again, I hope you'll subscribe. I hope you'll rate, review, share the podcast with the people around you. And I really appreciate anybody that helps us spread these messages. Cheers to you on the road ahead. And remember that the best leaders, teams, and cultures stimulate progress by recalibrating their thermostat together. Step back, remember, be a thermostat, and breathe good oxygen. Thank you for listening to today's podcast, and I hope the messages and questions stimulate positive change along your path. As always, if these messages resonate with you and add value to your life, I hope you'll help amplify them throughout the world. Please rate, comment, and share on whatever podcast or social media platform you're using, and share this podcast with the people in your life or work who should be part of these conversations. That way, this spirit does, in fact, spread. If these messages or developing leaders and culture would be helpful to you and your organization, please contact us at jasonvbarger.com, jasonvbarger.com. And remember, we are all ambassadors for the culture we want to create in our life and work. We have to own the vision we want to be a part of. The future of leadership is you, is me, is us. Be a thermostat.